Oh, this is that moment in time when every coach just screeches in terror on the idea that we are going live. We are live here on In the Huddle on Friday, April 2nd. This is not April Fool's Day. That was so yesterday.
Nope.
2021. Here we go, folks. Buckle up. The one thing that when I see the Open live, I always think to myself, especially this last year, is I can't wait to be back out there mask free at games.
Yeah.
Just going whenever we want to. The funny thing is, and you and I were just talking about it before the show started, it is snowing here in upstate New York. I mean, it's April 2nd.
It's cold down here in Florida, too. Well, cold.
What is this? I mean, seriously, we had 70-degree temperatures and now snow. Hey, nothing to it. Anyway, JB, we're going to go through a few things on this episode of In the Huddle, not the least of which is going to be a rant, I think, coming from you, which is always nice to see that I'm not the only one doing it.
You're not the only one, Frank. Yeah.
We're going to wrap up the USA South discussion as you teased, and we're going to look at the schedule for Week 9. And predictions live, so we can't take them back. We can't edit these things, so they're out in the webosphere once we're done with them.
Yeah, I need to do a better job because you have a one-game lead on me, Frank. I think last week you were 7-1, and I was 6-2. So, gotta amp my game up a little bit this week. So here we go.
You're gonna let this guy beat you? Really? I mean, you better.
Yeah, didn't I crush you in 2019 in our picks? Like it wasn't even close, right? I mean, yeah. You had that thing where you kept picking a certain team, and when you picked them to win, they'd lose, and when you picked them to lose, they'd win. And
Was that
you can go back in the archive for that one, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
I think we're gonna talk about those guys too. Yep.
Don't know what you're talking about. I'm just gonna look down at my phone, make sure we're live. Yeah, we're live. Okay. Good to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to bore you with that. First off, let's talk. You called something to my attention. I had not seen it until this morning. The Liberty League fan policy, also known as, it's new to us, despite the fact it's not new to you. This is the thing we've been harping on for the last few weeks. Pat Coleman is always up my backside about the whole idea of, conferences have their right to autonomy, and Frank, you need to respect that, and I respect it, but it doesn't mean I have to agree with the approach.
Nope.
I don't think you agree with the approach here, so I'm going to let you have the floor. Camera one, all on JB. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just file this under the come on, man, because this whole this false pretense of keeping something safe by not allowing family members into an outside open area space is just ridiculous. We have seen spectators at sporting events since, I don't know, September of last year. So it's in April. We have 6 months of track record data and in much bigger venues where it's easier to be more, densely congregated than it is in a D3 stadium. So I think, the Liberty League, I guess, maybe their hand is being forced, given who runs the state of New York, which is a whole nother story there. But you guys can do better. You really can. And it's not fair to the kids, especially their parents who, let's face it, Liberty League schools are not cheap. They're spending a lot of money to send their kids there, and they should have the right to go see them do what their kids love on campus, outside, in a safe way. It's been happening for 6 months. Get with the program, guys. Come on. And this is where Frank forgets to unmute himself.
Yeah. Oh, no,
That's the beauty of live shows.
I unmuted something. It wasn't me. That was the thing.
Or you muted something. Oh, boy.
Yeah, this is the other thing about
broadcast.
Yeah, this is the other thing about being that we don't do this as frequently. I sort of lose track of what's what in our panel here. Great software. If you guys need video production software, here's my little plug. vMix all the way. It's great with our chat channel and everything that we do, or our interview channel.
Yep.
Very easy unless there's a firewall set up by schools. The firewall being set up by schools in this case would be the whole, again, it's new to us, or it's new to you, not new to us type situation.
Yeah.
It's got to stop.
Tech's been around for a while.
Yeah. Ask us. Okay, ask people in your conference, in your area, in your state, in your vicinity, period. Hey, what are those schools doing elsewhere that are doing this? And how are they getting around, the safety issues or whatnot? They're not getting around them. They're embracing them. They're just figuring out ways to embrace them while making sure everybody can conduct their lives. It's lazy. This is not about safety at the end of the day, as we always say, because you have a parking lot that you can basically separate off. You've got one entrance in a stadium if you want to let them through that way. You can restrict access to the field. And at the end of the day, the same kids and the same parents that are being forbidden from congregating together are going to congregate later on elsewhere on their own at this point. What is this prohibition at the end of the day? I don't get it anymore.
It's a lack of common sense. No, anyway.
Yep. And remember, the USA South started their season off with a policy like this, and look where they've gone. I mean, things have gotten so much better there.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Yeah. So on Twitter, you may have seen that we had a statement given to us where we tried to get a student athlete from Brevard to join us. It was an attempt to talk about football. Really, we wanted to sort of help change focus from this USA South controversy on the tiebreaker to, hey, you guys have to play NC Wesleyan this weekend. Get your focus back to where it needs to be with us here and talk about football. And we had a great guest lined up.
Yeah.
And the way we do it, folks, just so everybody out there understands, and Brevard may be hearing this for the first time, if we have a relationship with a coach or assistant coach out there, we will contact them and say, hey, we want to do an interview. We always want to make sure we're letting you put the best foot forward as a school. So could you name somebody that's, hopefully more a senior, that we tend to try to go for seniors, especially in
captain, leaders on the team,
scenarios, excuse me. But articulate, comes across well, that represents your school well. We're not trying to, cherry pick or something like that. And sometimes we'll do just kind of a cold request and hope for the best. And we've had some great success with it over the years. But in a case like this, we reached out to a coach that we have a good relationship with. They gave us information to contact the student athlete, because we have to schedule this, or know we can schedule this with our lives the way we have to lead our lives. We are extremely busy right now. Yeah, I've never been this busy in my life, I will be honest with you folks, which is good, obviously, knowing where we are right now. But at the same time, we want to get this show out. We want to do all the things we do and everything else. Okay, so this happened. We reached out to the student athlete. Hey, sounds good. You got to talk to our SID, which we were going to do anyway, and which the coach suggested as well. And so we go and do that. And we get a statement basically prohibiting us and anybody else from interviewing any student athlete related to the football until after the Sewanee game. So not just this weekend, but the following weekend.
Maybe the weekend after, yeah.
A couple of things. First off, we didn't create this controversy. Okay, we got kind of thrown into it, knee deep, to maybe even hip deep by this point on Saturday night, and by the student athletes who, at the end of the day, probably are in the right on this whole thing, to be honest with you. Not casting judgment, but we're casting judgment, I guess. They're probably in the right. And so we got thrown into it. And so you're penalizing us from being able to present our show the way we think it needs to be presented. You're penalizing the student athletes. You would have had a great student athlete conversation. The limited amount we got to talk to the player, it seemed like a great guy. It seemed like the coach made a great pick as to who we should talk to. And yeah, no, not happening. It's so bad, in fact, that Brevard told a news crew, I believe, that they canceled an interview for them as well. A Western Carolina station was going to interview the head coach, and they canceled that on them. I don't know, to what degree.
Yeah, no, this is a full blown gag policy, and maybe it came down from the presidents of the conference, because it doesn't look good on paper. And I mean, you're a lawyer. You looked at the actual words in the document and the statement, and there is a legitimate gripe that the Tornadoes have here, and it's a missed opportunity for their league to set things right. It was poorly managed up front, and at the end of the day, it's really the student athletes who are being penalized for it, and that's not what Division III is all about. And so hopefully we can learn from this mistake. It seems like they're just trying to shut it down and just wipe it off like it never happened. But here we are.
It's disappointing, though, that Brevard is going to participate in that at this point. We've stuck our neck out, obviously, for Brevard on this topic, despite some criticism for doing it from some folks. And we don't deserve a favor or anything for that, but at the same time, we were responsible and adult in the conversation and maintaining the conversation, and so to think that we're going to be anything but adult in continuing or changing the conversation in the process is a little bit hurtful toward our show, we think, and we wish it was handled a little bit differently than this. It didn't need to turn into this. I think that station also had a right to talk to the head coach, and if you wanted to put some sort of, listen, could we not talk about this topic so much or whatever, it's up to us to honor or not honor that, but we didn't even get that. We got basically door slammed. Thank you, appreciate your show, and
yeah,
that's.
I mean, they could have
nice.
just told the coach to pull a. They could have just told the coach to pull a Belichick, right? They brought up any. We're on to North Carolina Wesleyan, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, which they need to be, because I think they are down to a third string quarterback here. Ultimately, they've had some. Eli Carr, as you know, was out at least for most of the last game with an ankle injury.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Steve Hogan came in and he played pretty well, but if he's out too, I mean, geez, they're down to. After all this, they kind of need to win this game, Frank, to save a little face, because it would be pretty upsetting for their program to lose to a team that hasn't won a game yet. I don't think, at least in this little spring season. It's kind of banging on the door like, we should be in the championship game. Well, you guys better win on Saturday too, to kind of back up that point. And for the people out there who want to say that we're being, I don't know, irresponsible, unprofessional, whatever, because we took interest in a story,
really?
which, by the way, was basically copied and pasted by the Football Scoop guys. I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to mess with them at all. But all the information we presented in our prior show about this issue was tweeted out by them. It's a legitimate story, and there's legitimate facts that back up the fact that the conference kind of messed up, and they need to sort of make amends. And I think the suggestion we posted about, hey, play one more game on the 17th of April. Why not? You've already played for 3, 4, 5 games in certain cases. What's one more? But I doubt we'll get to see that. Hopefully this weekend, all the teams, including now, Sewanee, the University of the South, is kind of getting in there a little bit late. But it's been fun to cover the USA South, even though I never thought that we'd be talking about this kind of stuff with Week 9 in the spring.
Remember, Liberty League, it's all started with the fan policy in the USA South. Just remember that. might want to reconsider here how you're going about things in the Liberty League, Tracy King and company. Okay, let's look at the schedule. And we're going to talk about 2 games right off the bat here that have been played already. Karn
Mellon.
Well, I didn't want to really run it into the USA South.
Yeah, I
So
guess it's better than Wayne's B or something like that. But yeah, okay.
yeah, I was out of options for that one. Sorry. Carnegie Mel, I guess. What is the other one? They won against Waynesburg. What was it, 51-0? I think last night. And
Yeah,
Washington Jefferson had a big win against, or not a big
twenty
win
to
actually.
six.
It was not as big as I thought it would be. Is what let me get my notes out here. Yeah, closer than we thought. Got it. So there we go. So those two games are in the books. There are 9 other games to be played on Friday, and that includes the NJAC complement of games. And you see them there: Wesley at Christopher Newport, William Patterson. Actually, I think we have too many T's in Patterson. We'll fix that later. North Park, Carthage, Olivet, Adrian. Averett at Maryville is USA South kind of crossover. I think this was pre-scheduled, though, to be honest with you, because it doesn't make sense why Wesleyan would play Brevard under the circumstances unless they had pre-scheduled this game, which that's a whole nother story for another week on how the USA South crossovers even worked in this whole thing. Wilmington at Ohio Northern, Heidelberg at Otterbein, Marietta at Mount Union. Muskingum and John Carroll canceled. Muskingum, I believe, is done for the season the way things are acting there, but don't quote me on that. In the ARC, Buena Vista at Nebraska Wesleyan, that is. And now let's get our Saturday schedule up. And I think everything's spelled right here. We boldface the championship game in the ODAC crossover game. And then also we put a little asterisk next to the USA South crossovers there because we can't call it a championship game very easily under the circumstances, which would be Huntington at Methodist here. I still have this belief in my heart that Huntington, if they win, and Brevard, if they win, are going to call each other up and say, let's play on 4/17. In my heart of hearts, I still think it's possible. I think Coach Turk is a guy that doesn't want this cloud over this whole situation, and the only way to get rid of the cloud at this point would be to play the game again, the third time. Rubber match, as they say. So we'll set this over here as we'll go into the box here with it. But you see the rest of the games there, JB, and we're going to pick some of these coming up in a minute here. But definitely starting to filter out games. We talked about it on our show that got released on Tuesday, I believe it was. Things are starting to calm down. The Friday night game, obviously, we're going to watch the emotion in the Otterbein Heidelberg game
tonight.
Tonight. So, in our stream, I just noticed our stream bound may have cut out for a second there, but just talking about Heidelberg and Otterbein. But the rest of the slate here, that ODAC slate is pretty darn good. These are games I want to see, to be honest with you. Bridgewater Shenandoah, I believe, is a repeat game. I
think it's the third time they played, but they've but it was a 1-point game. These two teams have played each other real tight, but Ferrum and Cindy have not faced each other yet, and that should be a pretty entertaining battle. And then, kind of looking on the right hand side, there's some great matchups in the Heartland with Franklin at Rose-Hulman. Hulman barely lost to Hanover last weekend, and Franklin, kind of had that 5-point upset, you can say, over Bluffton, and Bluffton at Mount St. Joe's is another great game. Anderson at Defiance, they might put up 100 total, points combined. There's going to probably be about 100 passing attempts in that game. And then, it's interesting to see some of these other teams that we normally don't cover so much on the show out in Minnesota and Iowa with, Morris and Northwestern, Martin Luther at Ripon and Wesleyan and so on. So we're kind of on the back. We're starting to turn the corner on the spring season. We're going to see more of the Midwestern teams starting to pop up here towards the end. We basically have about, I'd say, 2 more weeks after this weekend of games from teams that are sort of within the Northeast, sort of Mid-Atlantic and Southeast, and then it's pretty much going to pivot completely over to the Midwest for once you start around the 24th. Although we'll get the PAC kind of crossover championships in 3 weeks, but after that it's going to start to whittle down to just a handful of games. So this is probably one of the last big weekends we have, and we'll starting to see it dwindle down from here.
Look at what's on the screen.
Oh boy, here we go.
Nowhere to go but down from
Never
here.
a good sign. Yeah, never a good sign for us. The guys who won't shut up. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, hold on. We got to get music first, man. I mean, where's your sense of moment here? Let's see.
I know we need the William Tell. Okay.
I think we got it. So, clock will start. You'll go first here since I went first last time. I believe we left off. Mm-hmm. So, 9-minute clock. Remember, it's 1 minute per game, basically. Wesley at Christopher Newport, and go.
All right. Our famous show, Laws of Syllogism, applies here. Wesley lost by 2 to Salisbury, who beat the Captains by about 25, I think. So, I'll take the Wolverines to win this one. I'll pull away late. I'll say 35-14.
Tough one. I'm going Wesley all the way. Wolverines. Christopher Newport, I think is going to be tough at home here, but I think Wesley learned a lot about themselves in that Montclair game a couple weeks back there. I hope they learn not to hit players after the whistle and risk possibly turning the ball over late, but that's a whole other story for another week. I'm going to say Wesley wins this game. Remember, we got one more Wesley game coming up next week. What is it, next Friday? Maybe, just maybe I'll go down there for that. It's going to be 27-17 Wesley. Next game, William Patterson at Montclair State. Spelled correctly. William Patterson.
That's a start.
William Patterson has had trouble getting games off the ground to start with here in a lot of cases, and Montclair has kind of a bad taste in their mouth from that Wesley game I just mentioned. I think Montclair all day on this one, though it's going to be good to see William Patterson on the field there. It's going to be close, though. I don't think this is going to be a rout. Montclair wins 24-21. Coach Palazzo just threw something through a window because it's the curse of Rossi back for one more season here. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, I'll take the Red Hawks also. I don't know. This is the first time we're going to see William Patterson, so we don't know if they're going to look like Kane or if they're going to look more like Wesley. So I'm going to kind of split the difference. I'll say the Red Hawks win 28-14. I think Jaquil Birch is going to have a pretty nice passing day.
Did you say Kane again?
Kane.
There you go. It was close. I'll have to go back to the replay later. Heidelberg at Otterbein. Actually, let me stop laughing at this point because I can't laugh when I'm thinking about the gravity that's behind this game. Go ahead, though. You go first.
Yeah, I mean, you got to pick the Student Princes here just on emotion alone. So I think they'll show up and they'll win one for Curtis, and it'll be Student Princes 49, Otterbein 35.
There's always one or two ways this turns out. The emotion overcomes you, and the exhaustion from the week's emotion can hit you, or you can come out, play lights out. I think this is one of those games where, unfortunately, you start weak because of the emotion, and the adrenaline starts to pump in as you realize the gravity of what's in front of you and what's going on. Because of that, I think Heidelberg does win it by the score of 31-24. We have a championship game here. ODAC, Emory and Henry at Randolph-Macon. Randolph-Macon was just really good last week, but Emory and Henry had a week off, if I remember correctly. This is an interesting matchup. I'm going to give it to the home team here, I believe. The Yellow Jackets, I think, they perform great on the road. They should perform even better at home, you would think here. So give them the win. It'll be decent, though, the game, no doubt. A lot of offense here. 37-27.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to pick against the Yellow Jackets. They have been impressive, but Emory Henry, week off, they've been pretty dominant in their own right. I'll break from the ranks and pick the Wasps and hopefully I pick up a game on you, Frank, because need something to shake things up. So we'll go with Emory Henry to win. 31-28, close one.
I'm I'm going to get the can of Raid ready for that game. In the USA South, Huntington at Methodist, the championship game, in quotes. Go ahead.
I mean, Methodist has looked pretty solid all season. I will say that they'll probably outlast Huntington 35-27.
You picked Methodist there? I'm surprised.
I'm picking Methodist. Yeah.
Coach Turk and company are just such a quality program out there. They're not going to lose this game, I don't think. I know they had the trouble with Brevard, but I think Brevard's that good of a team too. And so Huntington wins this game 31-20. We're falling a little bit behind, although we're not horrible here. The USA South semifinal, despite a championship being played. Let's call it that at this point. North Carolina Wesleyan at Brevard. Despite their quarterback injury issues, and I think some of their line issues right now, too, with injuries and whatnot going on, I think Brevard still wins this game. It's 0-3 North Carolina Wesleyan. How did this ever cross over? I mean, seriously, how did this game cross over in your crossovers? It's supposed to be the idea of, matching up teams in divisions that are near each other in quality by the end of the season. That's a whole nother story of how this thing got botched. Brevard wins, long story short. Defensive struggle, 21-10.
Yeah, I think Brevard's going to have a little bit of the chip on their shoulder, but also kind of hangover from this week's distractions. I'll take a Quentin Jackson pick six to light a fire under them and help them win it in the second half, 28-17.
Rose Holman at Franklin, a battle of one-loss teams. Hit it.
Boy, man, I'll have to give it to Rose Holman, just the way they played Hanover so impressively. Franklin's going to be tough to beat at home, but I have a feeling that they have something to prove after just narrowly losing to the likely conference champs in the Heartland. So I'll take Rose Holman in another close call. Higher scoring game, though, I think 35-31.
Yeah, would the real Franklin please step up here and tell me who you are, because what we've seen score-wise and stat-wise just don't exactly give me a good feeling about who they are right now. If the normal Franklin we expect comes out, they should win this game. If the Franklin I played against Mount St. Joseph comes out, I think this is going to be ugly in that respect. I'm going to pick Rose Holman either way in this, but I think whether it's close or not is the question. Rose Holman wins this game 45-30. Helps if I have the next game. I'll tell you it's Bluffton at Mount St. Joseph, and as I get that ready, I'll tell you that Bluffton's had some tough times here, and Mount St. Joseph has the ability we've seen, like I said, against Franklin. And so I think this is that case of Coach Krebs gets his team back in winning form here, gets that defense to ratchet it up again. I think Bluffton wins this game 21-20.
All right. I like that pick, but I'm going to go with Mount St. Joe's just from the fact, like I said, I need to catch up a little bit here. So I'm going to hope that the home team, dials up some home cooking and does what they did against Franklin the prior week. So it's going to be a heartbreaker, another close call, but I'll say that Mount St. Joe's hangs on and wins it. It's going to be lights out on the scoreboard, Frank. I'm going to say 45-42.
40 seconds, and I'll tell you it's Aurora at Benedictine. It's your call. Go.
I mean, all we've seen, the two undefeated teams in this conference right now, but we've seen Aurora put up a ton of points, so I'm going to go with Aurora here. Close game first half. Second half they pull away, win it 49-35.
Gavin Zimmelman, all day, every day. This is going to be ugly, this game, I think, on the scoreboard. I really think that 50-30 in favor of Aurora. With 8 seconds to go. Oh, my goodness. This never happens, and we were falling behind there for a little while. That's incredible.
I wonder why.
What are you doing?
I still messed that up after all these years. I'm trying to point this way.
always the opposite. It's always the opposite. So if I want to point to you, I have to go to the opposite direction on these cameras. Yep, that's just the way it works.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get the timer off because it gives me anxiety just like you. Last thoughts here. I mean, like I said, I'm going to try to get down to Wesley next week and maybe do a little bit of a Game Day Live type setup if possible. This was something we were thinking about a while ago. Then they were like, oh no, this is going to be Wesley's final game a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then, or final home game. And then they go and schedule Stevenson, who was supposed to play Alvernia this weekend, but that got postponed.
Yep.
I don't know if that's cancellation or not. Yep. So we'll hopefully get that Wesley game in on next Friday. We'll keep you posted. You know where to get the information. We will say this, though. Over the next month or so, we may not be doing a 2-show setup the same way we've been doing it here the last couple of weeks. It's just been the deluge of games that were coming at us. We were like, there's no way we can cover everything the way we want to with just one show. So understand that that may change. We're at the 32-minute mark for this show, my friend, so give us some parting thoughts. Give us your wisdom for the weekend here, please. I need some wisdom.
Well, once again, going back to the whole, parents not being allowed in stands thing. Today is Good Friday. I mean, I'm not the most religious guy out there, but I know there's going to be a lot of families gathering this weekend. I'm sure yours has plans for Easter Sunday and all of that. It is a time for family and for celebration, and whether schools want to or realize it, or families should be able to see each other and stick together. I mean, obviously the last year has changed the dynamic of that, but at the end of the day, we're here on earth to be to be together. So I just hope that as people go into this holiday weekend, that they keep that in mind. And obviously, you got to do the right thing and be safe. And hopefully, folks are out there, doing what they can to ensure that, whether it's getting vaccines or quarantining when they have to, or whatever you need to do. But this is a special weekend, and so hopefully, people out there realize that, keeping people apart isn't the answer in many respects. So those are just my 2 cents.
I'll tell you what. Happy Easter, happy Passover to everybody out there. If you've made it this far in the show, if you made it this far in the show, we want you in the Facebook comments for this show to put right in either Happy Easter or Happy Passover, or whatever happy you want to put in there, because you may not follow either one. Put it into the comments, and we'll take the names of the people that put that message in the comments, and we'll randomly pick a winner of one of our In the Huddle polo shirts. We'll get it sent out to you. So,
hey, cool. All right.
Put it in there. Make sure that we have the ability to message you if we do pick you ultimately, and we'll ask you for your size and which color you'd want. Kind of the reddish color like he's wearing, although it's not the shirt, or white, or kind of baby blue.
Opening day, Frank. I gotta represent the Red Sox and my hometown team. So hey,
I've got to represent the Huddle. Okay, that's my hometown team here.
Yeah. That's right.
So in the comments, you want a shirt. Odds are going to be high. I don't think we're going to get 9,000 comments in there, but if you want one, if it's a double XL that we have to give to you, it'll take a little time because we actually do have a mounting order for double XLs, believe it or not. Our good friend Eric Wren is like, hey, I need one, and I'm like, I'll get you some soon. So we will accommodate your size even on this. So get it to us in the comments on Facebook, and Happy Easter, Happy Passover, 1JB. Thank you. Thank you for doing a live show, because this means post-production is 0 for this, except to get it up on our audio version on iTunes. This is episode number 230. I'm sorry, 284. 284, excuse me, 230. Me and my numbers lately.
230. That was like a year and a half ago, Frank, or maybe 6 weeks ago. I mean, it feels like we've done 20-something, 50 episodes in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, probably has for you.
35 minutes in. Man. Folks, have a great weekend. Enjoy the football.